I'm hoping that this new Ontario government will help us.
Tonight, some relief for those suffering from mercury poisoning in Grassy Narrows and White Dog, but is it enough to help?
She was a professional wrestler several years ago, but she used to wear her headdress, and I remember watching her and hearing about her when I was a young person growing up.
Indigenous athletes are a new attraction to the BC Sports Hall of Fame.
You get to see their love as a family.
And the story of a Joseph Boyden novel screens in Calgary. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. It was around 1 degree Celsius in Nunavut today, and it drops to around -5 at night. There will be snow down for the winter by the middle of next month. So why is a family of 4 living in a tent next to Nunavut's Legislative Assembly? Our Kent Driscoll explains.
Brian Tagalic and Pitsula Ashuna did what they were supposed to. They got an education. They got jobs. And now they're homeless, living in a tent outside Nunavut's Legislative Assembly with 2 small children.
And as we walked here, I was in tears. I was scared with my daughters, and I said, am I going to sleep outside with my children? Has it gotten to the point where me as a citizen of Nunavut, who is willing and able, who is educated and wanting to work and wanting to provide and wanting to be a good, modest citizen in the society, not being able to do so and left to this?
They've been couch surfing for 4 years now. They've moved from being hidden homeless to the most public homeless people in Nunavut. Ashuna's been working short-term contracts at the hospital for years, but those jobs never come with housing. That's really starting to weigh on their children.
She's getting lost. Like, she's a very smart, young, intelligent little girl, and she knows the situation we're in, and she's even getting tired of being homeless, going place to place.
They started couch surfing after finishing at Arctic College. A 2-bedroom apartment in Iqaluit runs more than $3,000 a month, if you can find one. The work they do doesn't have housing attached, and there are 300 people in front of them on the public housing list.
I heard someone waited 13 years and received their keys this week. If we have to wait another 8 years in this, our children will be taken from us.
Nunavut's housing problem is so huge, we have a Minister of Homelessness and a Minister of Housing. We asked them, what could they do for Ashuna and Tagalic?
We took part in a meeting with Housing, and then they had a separate meeting with my department to just see if there's anything we can, in what way our department can support them.
Unfortunately, you know, it's not just that family facing this, it's other families too, so it's not like we can just take one family and put it ahead of another family. So it makes it much more complicated because, you know, you really feel for people like that. It's not something as the Minister of Housing I want to see. I don't want to see people that have to be in tents, especially with the winter coming up.
So they're going to stay here, outdoors, next to the Assembly, until they get a home. There's been snow already, but in a few weeks the winter snow begins in earnest. Everyone agrees that something like this shouldn't happen. Now it is. And Nunavut's elected will be forced to acknowledge it every time they come to work. Kent Driscoll, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
A few days ago, Ontario's chief coroner released a report. It said the province is failing youth in care. 12 youth, 8 of them Indigenous, have died mostly by suicide between 2014 and 2017. During question period, NDP MP Charlie Angus asked Indigenous Services about the report.
The Liberals fought the Human Rights Tribunal over 4 non-compliance orders, ignored an order of Parliament to flow funds to the underfunded child welfare, and the price of that delay was the death of 12 children in the broken foster care system in Ontario. I encourage this government to read that report. It's a damning indictment of children being disappeared into a gulag of hopelessness. And the report shows that Indigenous children are still suffering systemic negligence in areas of underfunded education, lack of mental health services, even protection from abuse. Doesn't this government understand that the primary responsibility of a nation is to protect its children?
over-representation of Indigenous children in the child welfare system is a humanitarian crisis. Our government is reforming the current broken system that takes far too many Indigenous children to their care. We are providing funding to First Nations child and family services agencies based on actual needs with an emphasis on prevention. We are working with our partners to transform the delivery of Indigenous child welfare so that it is community-directed and focused on prevention.
Ontario's new Conservative government was in Grassy Narrows today with some good news for those suffering from mercury poisoning. People who receive mercury disability payments will now be compensated with rates indexed to inflation after decades of the rates being frozen. It affects more than 200 people in the communities of Grassy Narrows and Bobsomong. Here's Brittany Hobson with more.
People receiving mercury disability payments will be retroactively compensated for the first time since the payments started in 1985. The Mercury Disability Board was set up over 30 years ago to provide compensation for people who experienced mercury poisoning due to a paper mill contamination in the 60s and 70s. The community of Grassy Narrows is celebrating that fact, and today Minister of Indigenous Affairs Greg Rickford, who was just recently appointed after Doug Ford came into office about 100 days ago, was in the community to make that announcement.
Community members of Bobsomong and Grassy Narrows, today I'm announcing that mercury disability benefit payments will now and going forward be indexed to the rate of inflation.
Now there's about 300 people who are receiving compensation at this time, and compensation has been frozen since 1985. What they were receiving was anywhere from $200 to $800. They now will be retroactively back paid to align with where the market is at today. Chief Rudy Turtle said that the announcement was great news and it was needed, and the community fought hard and long and hard for that. But he says that the way the point system works now for people who want to be covered under that disability service is unfair, and he hopes that working with this new PC government that they will change that, because he truly believes that everyone in the community deserves to be compensated for the poisonings.
I'm hoping that they would do more than the previous government. I'm hoping that they would be able to, push things a little more than what the previous government has done. For example, we just finished talking about the point system and the criteria for receiving these benefits. I'm hoping that this new Ontario government will help us, reset this point scoring system so that it makes it easier for the people of Grassy Narrows to receive these benefits.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Grassy Narrows.
Well, it's time for a short break, but when we come back, a new Indigenous sports gallery opens. But first, here's your weather for tomorrow. Starting over on the east coast, we've got 17 and mixed sun cloud in Fredericton, 19 with some rain in Halifax, 5 in Inukjuak and rain. Kuujjuaq's got rain and 8, same with Nain. Chibougamau is 11 in rain, same with Val-d'Or. 19 in Sarnia with some rain, 19 in Toronto but some sunshine. So lookouts, rainy and 4, Thunder Bay, mix of snow and rain and 7. Churchill is sunny and 3, Norway House is sunny and 4, The Pas is sunny and 3. 5 in Gimli and Winnipeg, and 10 in Brandon. Lots of sun in Saskatchewan, 7s for North Battleford, Saskatoon and Regina. Meadow Lake's also 7, Buffalo Narrows is 4, La Rouge is 4, but some cloud. Welcome back. One group of seniors in the Northwest Territories are staying in shape by getting their workout with a unique program. Our reporter Charlotte Morat-Jacobs caught up with some of the participants in Yellowknife.
It starts off with a quick stretch and roll of shoulders. And then paddling? Yes, you heard correctly. This is Klicho Yoga. Caroline Douglas is 81 years old and too fit to quit.
Since I had the surgery replacement in my knee, that's why I started coming in, because of doing my exercise.
Residents and visitors of Jimmy Erasmus Senior Center in Becheco meet for yoga a few times a week. The class fuses traditional motions like washing clothes.
That's how you're washing the bush, like that.
And cutting wood with modern stretching. Beatrice Nedzo gives all her instructions in her language. She says the seniors were skeptical at first.
When they're doing their exercise, they complain about their exercise. So, and then one day, like, we're all sitting in a circle like this, and I said, like, what do you guys want to do then? Like,
but Nedzo was able to convince them by taking them down memory lane.
For the elastopan, I always say, stretch the heart. Like, you know, like, that was their daily exercise.
Now she's instructed by the participants.
I'll say, like, we should do it this way. No, we never did that way. You have to follow us how you do it. So I said, okay then. I said, you're my boss, you're teaching me.
Most of the seniors have to sit down, but that doesn't mean that they aren't working hard.
I like it, you know, good exercise, and then instead of you get up, you stiff, you want to complain about the pain. Do exercise in the morning when you get up.
During the meetups, they share stories of camp life. A nurse recognizes a story she hears and prints off an old photo of a participant. Ann Douglas shares a love song she used to sing while paddling to see her husband long ago.
Well, that's the life we had. We did all that. We live in the bush. This time of year, you go in the bush, and you come for Christmas sometimes with Dr. But sometimes we're too many, we got to stay back. Maybe our parents, they're going to go.
It might not be for everyone, but for the participants here, Clicho Yoga works. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Becheco.
Sustaining traditional culture in a time of modern change can be a difficult balance, but a Saskatchewan man is taking to social media to challenge more people to get back to their roots. CTV's Christian Ajikude has more.
Matzo Fiddler is learning how to speak his Cree language one day at a time through song and repetition.
You can say coffee in Cree, Pikate wa boy, and then sing it, Pikate wa boy, Pikate wa boy, Pikate wa boy. And then you know Pikate wa boy is coffee. If you can show it to your friends and family.
And for the last 6 months, he has been challenging others to speak their own traditional language using YouTube and Facebook, calling it the First Nation Song Challenge.
There's so many genres that have not been covered.
The challenge is to help you learn your language one word at a time. It's their choice if they want to be represented from where they are or where they're from or wherever they want to be.
So far, 8 people from as far away as the Northwest Territories and Delaware have submitted their original songs.
Algonquins have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs. We got 2 from Cree.
Fiddler says the idea for the challenge came to him when he realized other countries regularly speak their own language. He also saw the importance of learning it firsthand.
I hear the elders cry, learn your language. I hear them around Answers powwows. It hits my heart.
Jonathan Nair is the digital media specialist at the Regina Public Library in downtown Regina. He supports Fiddler's efforts and is happy their digital media studio is being utilized, as Fiddler is just one of 300 people who use this space each month.
The digital media studio is open to everyone, and this is just one of the examples of the great projects that people can do here. The great thing about digital technology is that there's so many opportunities, and we're happy to facilitate them.
Fiddler hopes more people will submit their songs in the coming weeks, and his ultimate dream is having a champion speaker from every First Nation across North America. Christian Ashkate, CTV News, Regina.
The British Columbia Sports Hall of Fame has unveiled a new gallery, and it features the top Indigenous athletes from a wide range of sports. APTN's Tina House brings us more.
Members of the Musqueam Nation sang some traditional songs as athletes, family members, and politicians gathered to officially open the new all-Indigenous sport gallery.
Historically, Indigenous stories have not been properly celebrated and honored in our province, and that needs to change. And we at the BC Sports Hall of Fame are proud to be a part of that change.
This new 1,000 square feet addition at BC Place features the top athletes from young to old, along with memorabilia.
Welcome to the BC Sports Hall of Fame Indigenous Sport Gallery.
Tawani Joseph was the co-MC today, and he's also the former CEO of the 4 host First Nations for the 2010 Olympics. He's also a former athlete himself, having played lacrosse for the Squamish Nation.
And this is Delta Dawn. She was a professional wrestler several years ago, but she used to wear her headdress, and I remember watching her and hearing about her when I was a young person growing up. So to have her part of the gallery is pretty incredible. And also here we have Terry Felix, who played with the Vancouver Whitecaps, an incredible athlete who played at the big level. He also played for Canada and represented Canada over the years, but he's from Stehalis and his mom's from Musqueam Nation, so another incredible story that's being told here at the Indigenous Sport Gallery.
With the wave of a hand, the public can access stats on any Indigenous athlete, as well as play a trivia game to learn more about them. Alex Nelson is a former soccer player and former president of the North American Indigenous Games. He says he's so proud to see his fellow athletes getting recognized.
It's a dream that one never dreams of, and others see it and believe in it, and here it is.
The other co-MC today is Lara Muscle Savage, also another accomplished athlete with her own display. She played ultimate frisbee for 15 years on the national team, winning numerous awards, including the Tom Longboat Award for top female Indigenous athlete.
Today is a great day. Today is about honoring call number 87 in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to actions, which is about honoring the stories and better telling those stories of Indigenous athletes and leaders and Indigenous contribution to sport in Canada.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Still with sports, a young player is turning heads this season in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He's playing for the Notre Dame Hounds, and as our friends at CTV report, he has a famous role model he hopes to emulate.
Notre Dame's Karatak Kusugak Clark is a long way from home. He's from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, where his name doesn't trip people up like it does here in Saskatchewan.
Karatak, that's what I was told.
Karatak, I'd have to ask him.
It's pronounced Kalita.
A name that comes from his great-grandfather. But playing for the Hounds, everyone just calls him Q. He found his way to Wilcox, Saskatchewan when he was just 13 years old.
I kind of made the decision to pursue hockey and better schooling. I was kind of looking into different places, but my uncle's best friend actually came to Notre Dame back in the day. And he said it's a great place. Kind of just went there for a tour one day and just found that it was a place for me.
It's where he's now refining the skill set that he first developed in the Arctic cold.
We have a pond called Williamson Lake back home, and in the springtime we normally go out there because in the winter it's kind of too cold, I guess.
I think he's feeling his way into junior hockey right now. He's got tools in his toolkit that are yet to be unlocked. We'll have to really see what he's like as a junior A player with the puck on his stick.
Q is currently the only SJHL player from Nunavut, helping pave the way for others to pursue their hockey dreams, much like the most famous hockey player from Rankin Inlet, Jordan Tutu.
He's a big role model, not just for me, but for everyone back home. He's a guy that we all look up to. Even if I could be anything like he was and looked up to like he was, I'd be very honored for that. He's a good person to be around. People enjoy being around. He's always got a big smile, and so if he does become a role model for people back home, I think that's great.
So he's making the most of his time in the SJ and setting an example to follow. Pat Mackay, CTV News, Saskatoon.
We need to take another short break, but there's still more news to come, so stay with us, and here's the rest of tomorrow's weather. to northern Alberta. We've got 7 in High Level and Fort McMurray, and 8 in Grand Prairie. 8 in Edmonton, 5 in some rain in Calgary. Campbell River is in at 18, Kamloops sunny and 20, Quesnel 11 and sunshine. Dease Lake sunny and 10, Smithers 9 and sunny, Prince George mostly sunny and 10, Dawson City 10, Whitehorse 9, lots of sun up in the Yukon there. Norman Wells is 3, Wrigley's 4, Fort Simpson's 2, sunshine in those places. Tuck is in at -2 and snow, Paulatuck -3 and snow. Baker Lake is -2 with some sunshine, Arviat is 0 and some sun. -7 in Arctic Bay and Igloolik, and 3 and rain in Iqaluit. Welcome back. Joseph Boyden's novel Through Black Spruce has been turned into a film, and it premiered last night at the Calgary International Film Festival. The film explores the agony of missing and murdered Indigenous women. It tells the story of a Cree family traumatized by the disappearance of a loved one. Producer Tina Keeper says the film gives non-Indigenous viewers a different perspective when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous women.
You get to see their love as a family, and I think that's really important. And a lot of people don't, when they're discussing Indigenous issues, they don't think of people, I think, often as really in those simple terms as family, love, connection, the land, and what that means.
The Indigenous music scene in Winnipeg is well known to be as vibrant as it is varied. This week, the city lost a musician who transcended all genres. Jason Tuesday grew up around dedicated and hardworking musicians, mostly in country and western or rock and roll. He picked up the guitar at an early age and was comfortable in country or the blues or rock and roll, like his dad, Percy Tuesday. But he also soared in Spanish flamenco or classical European Baroque.
For you.
When he found out he had cancer a few years ago, he traveled to South America for treatment. Later on, a leg was amputated, but he carried on performing on stage or live streaming as long as he possibly could. Jason Tuesday passed on yesterday. He was 44.
I didn't care much how long I lived. I swear I thought I dreamed of. She never asked me once about the wrong I did. When my time comes around, lay me gently in the cold dark earth. No grave can hold my body down.
Rest in peace, Mr. Tuesday. That's all the news I have for you today, this Friday, September 28th. I'm Melissa Ridgen, and I will see you here tomorrow with your APTN News Weekend. Have a great night.